again, tonight I have a wonderful guest. We always have wonderful guests, right? So put that in the message so that everybody will know it. And this is the Make Your Life, Rosa Sharon Ministries Make Your Life Work project. I like for my guests to introduce themselves because they may know something about them, which I'm sure they do, that I don't know. So I'm going to turn it to you, Rachel, and introduce yourself and share what you want to share.
Thank you, Nina. Hello, everyone. I'm Rachel Sudduth. I am a writer by day. I'm a mother of one. My son is 2. I'm a creative. I love everything beauty, makeup, jewelry, art. I love nature, and I just love getting out and just meeting other people. So I'm just all about networking and being with people and just helping others find themselves.
Yeah, and she is actually a very beautiful person inside and out. It has been a delight to get to know. I met her at MoDOT. She works for MoDOT. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I don't know if I can say that now, but I just said it, right? And I'm former MoDOT too, so just give us both a strike, right? And she's a delight to work with. She's very open. She's very helpful. She's very kind. So I'm really excited that she said she would do this for me tonight.
Of course.
So the first thing I'd like to do is start with my questions.
Okay.
I only have 2, sometimes 3. And the way this goes is I choose one, and then I let you choose the next one.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Not to ask me, but
okay. Wait, is this a conversation? Or how is
it?
It
is a conversation, but initially, just to break the ice, I'll just ask a question so we can start a conversation.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, let's see. Knowing what I know, let me see.
I'm in the hot seat.
No, this one is good.
Okay.
You'll love this one. What is one goal you're working on that aligns with an idea or notion of something greater than yourself? That's the first part of the question. The second part is, how will it impact others if you meet this goal? So if you need me to repeat it, just say that. I think you'll...
That's a really beautiful question. It's a deep question.
I knew you would like it.
I feel like I'm working on have you ever like worked on so many goals?
Yes.
You know, so right now, I would say my biggest goal is finishing my master's. So right now I'm in school to get my master's in strategic communication.
Okay.
And so my goal is to teach adjunct at Harris Stowe or Rankin, some type of college in the St. Louis area.
Love that. I did that.
Rankin?
So call me when you're ready. I can introduce you to some people. It was the most fun I've ever had.
Yeah, and
all of them.
And at the same time, like I think once I'm done with that, I've been kind of working on my book series, but I have a bunch of different books that I've been working on. One book that's really important to me is my children's book series.
Okay.
And so these are like adventures with Kareem. And so,
okay.
yeah, so this is my son. And I have a 2-year-old, so I've always been in the library since I was younger. That was my safe space. Like books has always been like, I can tune into this, forget about my problems, forget about at home. Like you could my imagination can go wild. And so my sister is an artist.
Okay.
And I just think that would be such a beautiful thing to show our family, even if it doesn't blow up or anything, just,
absolutely.
I wrote it.
Sometimes it's just the process of going through it. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
I wrote it. My sister illustrated it. And I think it'll just be a project. I haven't seen that before. 2 sisters creating a book.
Okay, so I want to divert just a little bit.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about Baby Boy and how he has influenced you and changed you. I think I've seen you blossom.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
And I attribute that to him. So tell us a little bit about him. How has he changed anything or elevated something in you or made you understand the value of any particular thing? I just forgot about the second part of the question because I'm on the tangent.
I think when I became a mother, I try to be the best mother I can, and he's such a kind spirit, and even at 2, he's so peculiar on everything that he wants. And so I'm so like go with the flow, and it changes me.
That's right.
Like having a kid, I have to have a structure. I have to we got to give this time, because I was like, okay.
That is so beautiful, because the universe gives you what you need, even in your kid. That's good. That's good.
Yep.
Okay.
I work here today, work there tomorrow, because I believe in abundance, and I feel like I don't have to have the structure, but I'm like, I'm learning structure is good.
Yes.
And I also feel like just with certain childhood trauma I had, I've been trying to correct that in my child. But I've also been pulling really good things from my mother. My mother's deceased, but I've been pulling she let me be a kid, and she let me explore who I am, and she never made me feel bad for who I am. So I try to get to know Kareem and not try to mold him to who I want him to be.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's what I've learned. He's only 2, but I've been trying to just learn him.
Yeah, they grow so quickly now emotionally. So 2 is good. I mean, that's when he starts sucking it up. So.
Oh yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. Have you changed in the way you approach life? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. I feel like I'm calmer
Okay.
with him because I'm constantly thinking about. I want to be available for him. Like it's helped my temper a lot. Like, you know, again, I'll go back to work. Like, I'm just someone, I like to work for myself. I like to just, but he's giving me the structure. I'm like, you got to think long term. You can't just go here, go there, you know.
Right.
So I think it's just made me be more structured and just stick to my goals because I'm thinking about his longevity and his goals. So it actually makes me better. And now, like, just at work in different situations, like, without him and having to provide for him, I would have probably like, I'm done with this. I would left a lot of things that actually it built my character.
Right. And I understand that. Yeah, I understand that. I was telling somebody, you know, we were looking at my resume, and I said, oh, you did this? I said, yeah, I never met a job that I didn't want to leave in 5 years.
Exactly.
And I don't know what that is. I prefer to think of it as I came, I conquered, I left.
Yep.
But it could be I have a short attention span, so I don't know. So I understand that.
I'm always thinking of, oh, I could go do this, and it's like, oh, I got to sit down for a second.
And I think sometimes things level out. You know what I mean? You learn the hard stuff, and then you're not just coasting, not doing anything, but it's not elevating as much as you'd like it to. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Just that competitive edge or something, or just ready to do something different. So.
Yeah, I'm learning. It's okay. At first it felt stagnant, but I'm like, it's okay to just have the same routine. It's just, it's very different for me. I will say that, like, today I may do that. Tomorrow, I'm like, wow, every day. You know, it's different ways. But usually I'll be more adventurous. But I'm kind of learning it's okay to just have a routine. Just have peace,
calmness. Value in it as opposed to fighting it through. And that's what we do a lot of times. When something comes against what we are used to, we fight it. Yep. And I think maturity comes as we begin to just say, what's in that I need to get? Like you just said, you don't fight against it. You say, hey, I need more discipline. So that's the beauty of relationships. Good.
Another thing I've learned is I'm really big on community. Like, when you have a child, you have to have community. And then I've been going back and having more relationships with my family. That I'm like, I haven't talked to them in years, but it's like, again, a lot of times the selfishness of thinking about my child and the relationships and giving them new opportunities. And even the good relationships I have, it's just building a different foundation because I've loved my family more, like seeing them love a part of me.
Oh, okay.
You know?
That's good. So, I'm a loner too, for the most part. I'm doing better, but I just have been that and probably will be that, you know. I'm open to communication with people and stuff, but I'm the one that'll communicate with you once a month. I have friends like that I've known since I moved here. I may see them once a year, but we pick up like we never left off. So that's I know
how
what
I
you're
am.
saying about being a loner, but it's good that he's pulling you out of that. So that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me see. Did you answer? I should just go to your second question since I interrupted you.
No, you
started talking. Tell me about. I know this is an area that you're supremely interested in, and I know that you find a huge value in it because I know we have a relationship. Tell me, how does your faith or your spirituality show up in your daily behavior, or does it? Is that explain how? I'll tell you what. I'm going to change this question just for you. Does your faith or your spiritual leanings show up in your daily behavior? And if so, how does that come to fruition?
I think so because my faith, I'm leaning on the Lord. Like, through the struggles, through the beauty, I've just learned to thank Him through whatever. And it's just, I think because of the hills and valleys, the curves in life, it's like, it brings that close relationship. I feel like without certain things, you don't know what God can do. You don't know how faith, like, if you're down on your last $10 and then it's like, wow, then all of a sudden you got $500 in the bank. I'm like, this is nothing but God, you know, like, but I think a lot of it is faith. Like, even when you can't see it, like, that's just been me in the last couple of years. Like, I may not see it in the physical, but I just feel it. Like, I have to have faith and I'm always good. Okay. So I think that, to me, that's how faith, just every day, I have to think about that.
Okay. So you can choose one of your questions.
Oh,
and then we'll talk about purpose, just to kind of give you a thought.
Oh, wow. Yeah, 2 wishes. What would it be?
I know one thing I've noticed about you. I know you're reading, but I'm sorry if I
Yeah,
process
no.
as it comes. Is that you are really wide open. You know what I mean? I've never felt like you were inhibiting yourself from letting somebody come in. Does that make sense?
You think that's a good thing?
I think it's a good thing, absolutely, for you.
Yeah.
I'm not able to be, well, I guess I am the same.
Yeah.
I forget. I just Sally talk to everybody.
Sometimes I feel you can get hurt. I've gotten hurt that way.
Yeah, I see it on you, though. I guess I didn't
Yeah.
remember it. I kind of do that, too.
You know?
So you see it, you said you say that again? You said you think you can get hurt?
I think, you're open. Just
Yeah.
if you're talking about experiences or people, you could be so open that it's like, or like, I look at everyone like, yes, we're going to be having a good relationship, basically. It's just like, I'm going to get along with this person. I'm always open to meeting someone. Sometimes you meet someone, they're closed off. They don't want to meet you, or like, they give you a different energy. And I'm like, oh, wow, maybe I should be more closed off or reserved. But I try to be open with people I meet.
Absolutely.
You know?
And I think for me, for my journey, I had to, just for me, I don't know if this is speaking for you, but
Yeah.
I had to understand that it's the thing behind the thing sometimes. So even
That's
though
good.
we're not having a conversation anymore, what did I learn? What did I take away from that? Where was I corrected in that? And that kind of saves me from having to be what I'm not naturally. I'm not naturally closed down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
your spirit is you. That's what you're giving, even if you're not getting a receipt. I didn't mean to go to property. But if you're not getting a receipt from it, like if people aren't distinguishing that they receive it,
Yeah.
I think that's who you are, though. You left your residue wherever you're supposed to leave it. Because I think that's one of the beautiful things about you.
Thank you. I think when you meet someone, what I've learned, they have reflections of you. Like, I don't think you meet anyone by coincidence. So I
Right.
think even the people that get on your last nerves, you have to look at, like, why does God keep placing me with this person?
Why do you keep getting on my nerves?
What?
Both of those questions.
Yeah, but if you really look at the person, it's like, I've done this before. I've acted like this, or someone like, I don't feel like I talk so much. But I'm like, man, this person just keeps talking, will not be quiet. But I was like, you know what? I was that little child once, and it was like, I want to say something. Then it's like, maybe as you get older, your voice starts to get shut down. So that was a part of me. I'm like, I'm annoyed by this, but it's really a reflection.
And see, that's what I mean,
Yeah.
the thing behind the thing. That's exactly what I'm talking about, just not taking
Yeah.
things at face value.
Yeah.
Because if you do, I think we miss our lessons that way.
Yeah. I like
That's good.
this question. That one.
The last one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, remember, y'all love it, but.
And that is so in tune with what I know about you.
Yeah.
We both tend to be type A in that area. Yeah. We over-evaluate ourselves a little bit, I think, sometimes. But
Yeah.
at least there's an evaluation method there. So that's good. This is a good question.
Yeah.
What one area in living out your life would you like to be stronger or improve in? And let me just say this. I intentionally put stronger/improve because you could already be strong, but you want to be stronger, or you could feel like, there's room for some improvement. I don't want you to say, I have nothing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because everybody has something where they're moving toward.
Oh, yeah. I really feel like it's structure and discipline.
What you're getting already, you just said. So
I'm having the hardest time having discipline. And it's like a curve. Like, sometimes, like, I don't know if you ever feel like this, but sometimes I can feel like, wow, I'm in my life and I'm, like, really honed on something. It's been a part of my life where I was vegan for almost a year. And it was nothing because I just felt in my spirit like, I just want to be vegan. But now I'm like, I try to go back to that. Like, I want to take off meat, and it's hard. It's like a struggle, So I don't know. It's like certain areas like that. Or like I was like a gym fanatic for a second, and now I'm not. So it's like certain areas. I'm like, well, why did I feel so pulled towards certain things?
maybe it's just the experience of it.
Yeah. You
That makes me feel better anyway.
Yeah.
Because I took aerobics forever, and I love it.
Yep.
I still do it in the front room, but I don't do it to the extent that I used to do it. But I'm sure something else has taken the place of that. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just like I'm disciplined with that.
Well, yeah, I believe sometimes we're harder on ourselves than we need to be. And I'd probably say that because I know you in our conversations.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just we're here Tuesday and then Thursday we're somewhere else. But we still take what we did Tuesday with us to Thursday.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's what I say to myself anyway. It make me feel better. I don't know.
Yeah, and you look back at these
good,
things,
though.
it's like good experience because
Yeah, absolutely.
you're changing.
It's like a resume.
Yep, of your life.
Something to add, right? So, and that's what I think draws me to you. I always feel like you're living your resume. You're creating your resume.
Yeah.
And it always evolves.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Every time I talk to you, I'm not sure what the conversation will be. I mean, I know the base of it,
Right.
but I'm not sure what we'll end up talking about. And I think that's interesting and cool. So I mean, I don't
think so,
see
too.
you as flirty at all. I think you're grounded.
Yeah, I think, like I said, the same with you. I think that's why we're drawn together, because I'm like, what are you working on now? You know,
Right, that's
but
what-
that's what life is about. And I feel like there's so many people that don't just try things. You
And
have to
there's
try
so much
things.
out there, man.
Yeah.
I could, yeah, absolutely.
Traveling.
Absolutely.
But maybe it's fear. Sometimes people can get stuck by fear. Do you think that's what it is?
I think that the older I get, the less critical I am of Nina. Because I think I spend a whole lot of time being critical of Nina. And I believe if you talk to people and they were honest, they'd probably say that too. Well, I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't, and
Yeah.
life is for living. I mean, you make mistakes, you do things, and you say, oh, I wish I hadn't done that, but you did it.
Right.
Now
right.
it's like touching a fire. You know how when a kid, you say, don't put your hand on you, burn yourself. You burn yourself, I bet you never do it again.
Yep.
So, the older I get, the less I kind of evaluate me. I try not to.
Yeah, it is. Is that something you felt like you've had to pray about, or as just a life experience as you got older? Like, do you look back and like, I wish I would just enjoy life and just relax some?
Something.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
And you're thinking of the worst possible scenario, you know?
That's exactly it. I could say I've been kind of uptight my whole life, So I'm riding this wave now of I'm showing up the way I show up. If it goes left, sometimes it goes left. I'm quick to apologize, but I'm not going to carry it because evidently that's where I was and what I needed to do. So yeah, it's an interesting journey.
You talked about apologies. That's big for a lot of people. Like apologizing, it's hard to apologize. It's easy to call someone out. But do you?
It's easy
to call somebody out.
Because you're already in that place.
But what was I going to say? Oh, with apologies, do you? Some people say like, oh, I don't feel like this apology is sincere. Do you think, like when someone apologizes, how do you take that?
I take it as an apology. When I apologize, I'm not necessarily saying I was wrong. I'm apologizing for the resulting situation. You know what I mean? Because if you get into what's wrong again, who did this, you start arguing all over again. So I'm apologizing for allowing it to go where it went. You see what I'm saying? So at that point, I don't care who was right or wrong. And most of the time when people try to rehearse a conversation, it's not going to come out the way it happened.
Right.
And if I start telling you, well, I saw how you looked at me when I said, oh, you look at you different. So we're just right back where we started from. So I do it for myself too, selfishly, right?
Right.
But I also do it for the sake of relationships, even if I never see that person again. I don't want to leave that there.
Yeah. Do you think that people change? Like when you apologize, or when two people, you have someone, even myself, maybe you apologize for the same, I apologize for things. I'm like, okay, I'll be on time today. I'll be on time. Like I'm constantly apologizing, but I just can't get right, So have you ever had someone apologize to you over and over? And what do you think about forgiveness? Like, how can it help others? Like, how can you forgive? And what do you think when someone has to apologize over and over?
Well, I think if it was you, for instance, I would say, well, she's always running late. Let me adjust my thinking. My husband's like that. He doesn't run late, but he runs late more than I do, right? Yeah. And it used to just drive me crazy.
Yeah.
And now what I do is I say, look at all this good stuff over here. And I'm mad because he's running late. I'm running the whole day. So it's perspective. It's like, and I don't like tension. People think because I will get with you and say what I need to say that I like tension. But that's resolution for me.
Yep.
It's not tension.
Yeah.
So it just, you just decide what you want in your life, what you don't want in life. I don't hold grudges, though.
Yep.
Because if I did, I'd have to hold one against myself, too. So.
That, to me, takes maturity, because I've had to do that, too, where you could be so mad about something for years, and you realize, like, I've realized a lot of stuff. I'm like, this is weighing me down. It could show up on you physically, mentally, everything. It's like you're stuck. And so many people, even myself at a time, was like, a lot of people you meet, they could be, like I said, 65, 67, but when you talk to them, I'm like, you're stuck in a 12-year-old mentality,
Ouch.
So, and it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Well, it depends on what part of their brain is stuck in the
Or like,
I get what you're saying.
Even like that childlike fun type of energy, like if you didn't get a chance to really experience that, you could be stuck in a time point where it's like, okay, even though we're these ages, I think people get so stuck on ages, but like we're really spirits and souls at the end of the day.
That's good, yeah.
we're spirits, so we could be stuck in a time frame where, like, okay, this is what really impacted me.
Yeah, I've never thought of it
You
that
know?
way.
So I'm not even in a bad way all the time.
I just never thought of it that way. I am, I don't know. I think one of my challenges for me is that I am, do it anyway. That's why it's make your life work. I don't care what you're doing, make your life work.
Yep.
You have to make it work. You can't just check out. I mean, you can, but that's not fruitful. So you know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm not a sergeant, but if you ask, I was talking to one of the young ladies that used to be in our group, one of the first people in the group, and we were just talking, catching up, and she said, well, Mama, she said, you used to be on us, and I'm like, so I think maybe I am kind of a taskmaster,
Okay.
but I don't really believe in a lot of excuses, not even for myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You only have one shot, so try to do it well, or try to show up. So I don't know. I forgive easily. I may not be in your life all the time, but I still forgive easily because I want you to forgive me when you need to.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like what I've noticed is, as the years went on, I will be like, okay, I'm gonna get everything done. Like, I'm a go-getter. I'm determined. Like, but you have something pushing you in your life, maybe from childhood or before this. Like, you have this goal, but someone else, they may deal with it different. Like I said, may be stuck in something where they're stuck in a time frame, or they can't see further. So I've learned, when you said like you kind of had to adapt your brain, I've learned to adapt, like, hey, someone may not deal with something like I deal with it, so I shouldn't judge them or force them to, like, be determined, do this, do that. And it's like I've wasted a lot of energy on that. Or I think sometimes I've showed an example. Oh, I'm showing you an example how I've came through this. I went through the same thing you were dealing with, and somebody may deal with it differently than me, or be stuck in this time, or somebody may excel and do more things and push themselves further. So,
and that's an excellent segue into purpose, because I think I feel so blessed that I'm able to teach purpose, and while I'm learning it, because I think once you are centered in understanding that there are not just one thing necessarily, but there's some things that you were created to do, to build, to be, to go, places you were created to go. I think that it changes your life. To me, that's probably in the top 3 things that can change your life forever. Understanding who you are, why you are, and what you were meant to do. And I think once you are on that path, you tend to have less friction. You tend to not invest your energy in people that don't get you, because you don't care if they don't get you at some point.
Yeah.
So that I am really big on purpose. That's the first thing when we first started the ministry. It was purpose, purpose, purpose. I was driving them crazy. It's like, what do you think? What are your gifts and talents? What do you, I'm big on that. And I think that eliminates a lot. Go ahead, jump in.
Yeah, go back. You pulled out 3 bullet points. You said who you are. Go back to
who you are, why you were created, and why you are, who you are, and what you were created to do. I
think that's a hard topic for people to understand. Like, is it always changing too? I feel like it's always changing.
It can be changing, but what I find is that even if I go to like a different environment, I'm still the same Nina. I still have these basic things that I do. I still tend to work in my gifting. I still tend to want to investigate and examine everything. Yeah. So I have a character that was designed, I believe, for purpose. But purpose doesn't have to be linear. It doesn't have to be, my purpose is to jump up and down every Thursday, and that's all I do. I don't mean it like that. I mean, there are things put in you that are supposed to come out to improve the world. And it doesn't have to be one. It can be 10 things. Does that make sense?
Not just
that's how I see it. Anyway.
It's not just about you, and I feel like
absolutely, it's never about you. Actually, to be honest about it,
it's never about you.
It's about the job you have, I think.
And so many people run from purpose, myself included. Like, I have a friend. She's an amazing singer. She's tried every other job, but just focus on singing. And like when she was younger, she started off singing in the church. And so I'm like, man. But every time, like, people, not they praise you, but they talk to you about your gift. It's like, it's always singing. You're brought back to singing. Right. But it's like, it's like, why do, like, we all run from our purpose sometimes?
Because that's the biggest area you fear for failure in. Like the pulpit. I'm getting there. I've been there. I've done a few things. But it's not like I run to do it.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? I think, I'm not saying I have the answer. I'm just saying I think that might play into it. The one thing that you could do without thinking to be that powerful is scary. Right? When I first started my ministry, to be that powerful was scary. But it worked. It fit. It drew me in. So
like the imposter syndrome.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
Exactly. That's good.
The imposter syndrome,
I
Cause
know what you said, but that's not what I see.
Right, and then someone says, it's like, what? And then when you finally get there, it's like, oh my goodness. I was at a marketing conference 2 days ago, and that's what one of the speakers talked about.
Oh, really? Okay.
He was like, I did not want to cut hair. I didn't want to cut hair. I didn't want to shoot videos, but I kept coming back to that. And like, even with me, I'm like, oh, I do not want to be in the spotlight. Like I just want to interview people behind the scenes. I start off in newspaper, and it's like, even sometimes, like, it's different now, but I will go in rooms, and I'm like, oh, I do not want to be noticed. I like nothing, but it's like you run from people like, oh, do you have advice for this? I'm like, I don't want to even talk about this, but I'm constantly pulled.
So that's where you're supposed to be.
I'm like, God, please, no. And it's like, you run from it.
Well, the beauty is, though, once you start, so one of the things I teach myself and others is obedience. Do it anyway. That's why I make your life work. Again, make your life work. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Make it
no
work.
excuses.
Right? No excuses. Make it work.
Okay.
And it's about obedience. Now, I'm not obedient all the time or in everything, but I'm obedient to the places that I believe the Holy Spirit has told me to be in and told me to do. And it has changed my life tremendously. I still am nervous, like you said. Sometimes I kick a little bit. But I already know that by the time, it's like if you have someone at home, your husband, your friend, or whatever, and they cook every night, and they always cook what you like. Yeah. When you're getting off work, you're ready to go. You're speeding home. So I feel like that about ministry. I feel like I'm ready. I'm in it. Let's do it. And I know that my backup is with me, so I can say something stupid, and it won't sound stupid when I hear it on the video.
Yeah, and it's always it's always an experience once you step into that purpose of like writing. I feel like is one of my really strongest gifts. Like I love writing. I love writing books. Anything that's my imagination, where I feel like I can just express myself. And so with that, like when I fall into that purpose, it's like, wow, I get this opportunity, that opportunity. It's like it falls into your lap.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, and one at a time. You never could have told me I'd be published. I mean, I never had. I was in journalism. I never thought about being published. But that is something that I've done, So okay, I'm good with it. If you say there's two I'm sitting on, I don't just run to them, but I know they're coming because I know that's part.
It's like a voice you feel like just the Holy Spirit keeps telling you, come on.
It's almost like a pulling.
Pulling, okay.
Right, and sometimes it gets to the place where the ideas just drive me crazy because I'm writing them down. They're just popping. But that's because I'm not on time. So now you have to play catch up. Yeah. But my belief is that purpose is intended to help the universe be in order, right? Purpose is intended for us to show up for each other at the appointed time we're supposed to show up. And I think what's happened is a lot of us haven't been introduced to the notion of purpose. A lot of us don't understand it. They think it's like jail. You have to do this one thing all your life, and that's not what it is. Right. And so we're all kind of off center sometimes. And I think that's why life is so tough, because we're not aligned with purpose.
Even with, I know, and we talk about purpose, but do you feel like it's hard? I feel like, how can someone focus on purpose? You have to focus on your basic needs, focus on this, but it all works themselves together. And I'm like, even with me, like I said, purpose, you're getting these ideas. It's like, I'll wake up in the middle of the night. Let me get my notebook and just start writing down my ideas and writing down my thoughts and feelings, because again, when you have so much going on everyday life, it's hard to go back to that purpose at times.
Well, not if you're okay. I'm going to make you my example again. I've been making you the example. You are very kind and approachable. You have what I consider a very golden heart. Maybe your purpose is to give love, and you don't even know it. So you're just giving love. You say, I don't have time to do purpose, but you're in the grocery store being nice. You're down the street being nice. You're calling somebody to check on them. You're walking, because I used to think purpose was one thing, and you did that one thing well. But I think purpose is a set of skills, a set of callings, and you just work in those. Like my purpose is talking to people and praying with people, stuff like that. And I could be in the grocery store, and before I know it, I'm having a conversation with somebody.
Yep.
I think we do work in these areas. We just have never acknowledged that every time we look up, that's where we end up.
Even when you don't want to do it sometimes.
Well, yeah, but it's make your life work. It's not, please make your life. It's make your life work.
Make your life work.
Period. If you want it to work, if you want to give what you're supposed to give, you got to do it. And what happens is once you do it and you become comfortable with it, like I said, I really don't, the pulpit is okay, but I love ministry.
Yeah.
I could minister all day long.
Have you feel like ministry, even the world is changing? Do you feel like that has changed? You know, when you see, I forgot what it's called, but you have people that don't really stick to the Bible as much when they're preaching, and they're like, oh, these are like motivational preachers and things like that. What are your thoughts on that?
That's funny that you asked me that. I might be one of those people.
Because they're reaching, they're trying to, the argument is like, we're trying to reach the people. We're trying to reach them in a new way. We can't, at the same time, we can't do things the way we used to do it. But I love parts of tradition. And not even just the Bible aspect, but
I know what you're saying.
you know, sometimes you have to have that foundation of tradition. But it's always good to add in new things at times.
Right. I think, do I dare say what I really think?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I think that anything written by man is probably imperfect. And so I tend to teach and live in the spiritual part of myself, right? And usually something says, when I'm not supposed to do that. Now, I do study word. I do all that. But I think that some people are gifted to be able to just pour into you. You know, so somewhere in the middle of the two extremes, I think is where we should be. I do think that people need purpose. And we don't teach purpose a lot.
Yeah.
We teach ardor. We teach sitting over there every Sunday.
Yeah.
We teach quoting scripture. You know what I mean? Sometimes, and not all of us, but a lot of us do that. And sometimes people need to feel. They need something that penetrates here. You know,
Yeah.
it goes all the way in their belly, and that maybe that's what we should focus on. I don't know.
To me, I'm like, you may lose some people when it feels like work. Some of it is work. Can you say you're working for the Lord? Just studying. Some people, like, I've talked to younger kids, like, oh, this is work. Oh, I don't want to go to church. I don't want to do this, you know, and it just feels like it's heavy. So is that people really showing up in their authentic self and really expressing themselves and, you know, showing up as who they are? Or is it to impress man and impress you by, I know all these Bible scriptures. But when I leave the church,
That's the danger. Like you said, the danger is sameness.
Yes.
And again, I go back to the default. You know, we're not all the same. And when we're in a healthy environment, that is taught to us, and we're fed what we should be doing. And so it becomes a cacophony. Is that the word? I never come across. You know, it's like birds tweeting all at the same time. You know, everybody's in uniform, their own uniform. Everybody's doing their own thing. And there's no reason for me to be jealous of you or you to be jealous of me because we're doing our own thing our own way.
But so for the same purpose of
whatever our purpose is.
Yeah.
Because my purpose might just be to rile people up. You know, to get them agitated enough for change. So we can have different areas of purpose, because I think there's multiple purposes. But I do believe that the differentiation is a game changer.
I think it's hard when you have,
all the same.
When you have, like you said, this is your way of thinking, and I may have a way of thinking that's like, if we're all just supposed to be working together, kind of like, you know, with children, they parallel play, right? But then they all come back together. It's sometimes tough to get everyone, like, we can all be doing our different things, but we're all working together. We need each person to work together. And I think sometimes, I mean, it's just life. We're all thinking at different times, like, you're supposed to do it like I do it. You know, it may be a path. I got to get to Palm Street. I may go turn left and turn right, and we're both getting to Palm Street. You see what I'm saying? So if we would learn to embrace that and accept, like, hey, we're all different, but we're all getting to the same end goal, I think that things would run a lot smoother. But in this lifetime, will things run that smoothly?
Well, because I'm challenged in that. There are certain ways I like to do things. You know, I've done them. They've worked that way, kind of. And sometimes it throws me off when it doesn't come to fruition like it should. So I understand that, but I do think I'm better now that I understand why I'm here. So I don't think it's no stringent rules like, okay, you're supposed to be a minister, so you have to show up every Sunday. You know, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, what am I capable of changing in the spirit? What gifts do I have? What talents do I have? You know, help me understand me better, so I can help people more. So I think it depends on how it's taught. If that word is thrown at you every day and you know nothing about who you are individually, then yeah, you will get tired of it. Yep. But you know, we're not all created the same, I don't think. So.
And like you said, make your life work. How do you?
Don't create that for me.
How do you?
Like, make your life work, Nina.
How do you encourage others? Like for me, I'm like, again, I try to like I said, show that kindness, show that empathy, be transparent. Sometimes even when I don't feel like being transparent, I'm like, I want to keep a wall up. Like some things I want to keep to myself.
Absolutely.
But sometimes I feel like
I'm like that too.
God is like, share this experience that you went through. I'm like, oh God, I'm trying to keep this to myself and not tell anybody what happened. But again, then sometimes God will come and tell me like, this is not just for you, what you went through.
Absolutely.
It's to help others as well. So you can't be selfish. Like I'm an ego. I'm embarrassed about what I went through. But it's like, if you look at it, I feel like people really shouldn't have to be embarrassed at all. We go through stuff.
Everybody's gone through something.
But how much have we been shamed? You know?
Yeah.
And that's a lot that I feel like even I deal with now. You just have shame. Sometimes you deal with shame.
But I'm going to take you right back to
Yeah.
the power of purpose. Yeah, it is shameful, but if you think of it in terms of, especially with young adults, you just have to be transparent. Right?
Yeah.
Not on everything, but on most things. So I have to do that to tell them things like, I don't care what you're doing, who you're with, where you are. If somebody's spirit says pray, you better pray. If the spirit, you know what I mean? So quit trying to separate those things.
Yeah.
You're seen as a sister to whatever else we call it. You know. So. Yeah, I just think that it is it's everything that comes to us is of value to someone. And so while it may be embarrassing to you, if you're thinking about your purpose, then you have to share it. Because I can be tough on them. I know, but life is short.
Do they tell you you're
They
being
never tell
tough
me.
on us?
Well, they never told me until, like
Yeah.
I said, I had this conversation for like an hour. I was like, what? Because that's how I am in life, though. I'm like, do it.
They may be scared to say something.
Yeah, they probably were.
You know, so it's like.
They tell me everything else, though. Right?
Yeah.
I'm just like, do it. Do it already. Make it work.
Right. It's shocking
Don't
to hear
sit
that.
on it. Don't cry about it. Don't whine about it. Don't say, oh, that's not, well, I'm different. Make it work. You have no choice. You cannot not make it work. I mean, you can, but that doesn't give you life choices, right? So that's where that came from. That was for me, though. That was my reminder, right? Quit whining about it. Quit worrying about it. Make it work. Make every day work for some goodness, for something good. Make every day work, And it's okay to backtrack and say, hey, well, I didn't mean it that way. Or, hey, well, because that's life. We're going to get on each other's nerves, right?
Yeah, you have to make your life work. Even with these curveballs, like it's not a straight road. And I think
that's good. No, it's not what they used to have when they roll it on the ground.
You have to just roll with the curveballs. And like if you get upset, everything happens. You're gonna be walking around upset all the time. It's like, okay, this happened today. What about next day?
And what's in it for me? Why is this happening now? And sometimes you don't
we have
get
to reflect on that.
Well,
Sometimes
I mean, for me, it helps
to.
me because I'm inquisitive. I'm like, oh, I should have done that. And I beat up Nina a lot.
Yeah.
So I needed to do that. I needed to say, why is this happening and what's the value? What do you want me to do with this? And sometimes I can do it right away. Sometimes it might take me a while. When I was telling the young adults that I waited 8 years, I didn't date for 8 or 9 years.
Right, you've told me that.
Right.
Yeah, you told
Because I think that's a powerful testimony. I can't believe it.
I think we just met and you told me that.
Let me just, I was led to tell you.
Like, there's a lot of personal information, woman.
Yes. Yeah, because I have.
Thank you for sharing.
Because I think, I know though, I don't say I feel like it. I know though that is an encouragement. That no matter who you are, you could do it. Make it work. If that's your intent, if your intent is to be in certain situations, then you have to cut that at the neck that's stopping you from being there.
Yep.
Right? Exactly.
Right. You have to, like I said, reflect, be intentional.
And that's one thing I have to work on. I am very, I wouldn't say blunt because that sounds negative, but I am very honest. And I've even had to prophesy some honest things that I don't believe I had to say, but I said them.
Yeah. We've talked about that too.
You gonna say that?
We talked about that
on the car to work. Right.
I'm like trying to keep stuff, and guys like tell them. I'm like, oh, and then you're too attached to that message. Well, I'm like, I can't really attach to how they feel about it. I may just have to say, this is what God is telling me to tell you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And oftentimes, people thank me. I thank people,
Right, same.
Yeah, I'm too straight sometimes. I think I may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I'm Nina, and I believe that I'm talking to the person I'm supposed to talk to at any given time. And so that's just the same thing. You just show up as you. When you walk in the room, you brighten it, whether you know that or not. Right? So you don't have to say, okay, how can I brighten this room?
Right. You don't.
Right? You can look at the videos my videographer does. You can tell that he's got that talent. Because he's working on purpose. He might say he's not, but he is.
It'll show up.
Right.
I agree with that. I think it'll
And
just show
Valerie's
up
gifts
naturally.
are clear. She's a helpmate.
Yep.
Purpose, right?
Purpose is important.
It is. It's absolutely purpose. Purpose.
Right.
Did
Put
you do
that on there.
Look, right. Did you do your purpose today?
I'm like, I'm
And
gonna go
again-
to sleep thinking about purpose.
Right, and
Yeah.
I'm good. Because, and the other thing I want to
Yeah.
say is it's fluid. It's not like I
Okay.
will be doing what I'm doing here with you now today
Right.
for the rest of my life. I might, but I'm sure there'll be some variety in it. And it tends to be things that you like, or things that you're attracted to, or things that you have strength in. So
Yeah, it's that puzzle piece. Yeah.
only if you make it a puzzle piece. If you go on the journey, though, you'll get it. Like you said, you're up at 3 o'clock in the take those notes, and that's going to kind of show you where you fit and where you belong.
Absolutely.
So it'll make life a little bit easier.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful message.
Thank you, because you just said I was mean.
I think, well, you didn't
I'm
want to
just
say
straight.
You don't want to say bluntness, but
Oh, yeah.
a lot of people that don't like that, I think that makes people trustworthy. An honest, straightforward person, you may ruffle some feathers, but you're like, I know I'm going to get it straight from Nina.
And you got me after there were two things that once I had to tell this lady that if she didn't leave that night, she'd be dead. That's how I got it. That's how I told it. And then another time I had to tell a little baby what her life was going to look like if she kept choosing. I mean, she was like 16 something.
Oh, okay.
If she kept choosing the things she was choosing. So I just think, who am I to change what I believe I've heard? Because it might be saving a life.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they gave it to me straight too. So I'm like,
Yeah, you're like,
cried
ouch,
and licked my wounds and went
Yeah.
home and said, okay, what's next, Nina?
Whew.
Bye for 2
Sometimes you
years.
got to hear it.
Yeah, and it takes time. It takes
Yeah.
time. But I think there's, again, I put a bow on that. There's nothing more special than knowing that I had these gifts and talents and abilities, and they were mine to bring to fruition in whatever way Nina would bring them.
And not running from them.
Well, I did a little of that. I still do a little bit of that, but
Yeah.
at least I know I can't run far, like we were talking earlier. So is there, go
Yeah.
ahead.
But don't you feel like, okay, I think we have free will. Like, I know you agree we have free will.
Oh, yeah, we absolutely
So
have it.
it's like, you can run, but in free will, don't you have a choice? Because a lot of people, like I said, they're not walking in their purpose. They're running away from their gifts, and they don't want to look at it.
Okay, that's true.
You know,
That's
so it's like, as someone, if you see that on others, how do you feel like you reel people back in? If you see that on someone, or you notice like something's going on with them, that they're running away from their purpose, or they're not like their usual self.
Well, I think it's a misunderstanding of purpose. It's like you have to go to school. Well, I don't want to go to school.
Right.
You know, I think it's misunderstanding, and I do believe that once you go through the process of learning it, you love it because your name's on it, and nobody can do whatever you do. We can both be dancers, and you can't dance like I dance, or for who I dance for. You dance for somebody different. So I think it's a process, and what I found is people eat it up. You're saying I can do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's given to them properly.
Yeah, people need that listening voice. They need that motivation. Like I said, sometimes you have to be transparent because people can learn from your situations. And, you know, you went through this journey where like, oh, I've been through something similar. And I will say something, and I just think I'm just having a regular conversation like, wow, that really touched me. I was like, I'm just saying something regular. I'm just talking about my life.
Yeah, but you're not saying
Right.
something regular.
And that's what
So
I'm
it's
thinking.
not just the
yeah.
words, it's the delivery, it's the anointing on it. It's a whole lot of things that come into play when you open your mouth and say what you're led to say.
Yep.
That makes sense? Mm-hmm. Yep. You know that, though.
Yep.
You
Yep.
already know that.
Yeah. I'm like,
So
wow, I
yeah,
touched you, and I'm like, I'm just having a conversation, but that's how it works.
That's when you're working in your lane. So, that's probably a good way to put a top on it and see if we have. Do we have any questions, Ms. Valerie? Okay. Well, I'm going to be quiet.
Good evening again.
Good evening.
Two things. One, a comment was made that this is so amazing and inspirational. So
Oh, wow.
That's the
Wow.
person I paid. No,
We have paid. No, I'm just like,
I'm
that's-
just joking.
wow, that's amazing.
the other question, what are 2 or 3 things you want to do in the next 30 days that are purpose related?
Wow, they kicked it up a little notch. didn't
Yes, they did. Put me
they?
on
I
the
wasn't going
spot.
to do that.
In the next 30 days, geez. with
Make up a
me,
new word first. Yeesh.
you know what? I am going to stick with a budget.
She said that real fast.
Yeah, I really have. I got to stick with a budget. I've been complaining about, oh, I don't got money to travel, I don't got to do this. And it's like, are you even looking at your finances? Are you looking at everything? I've been going, and not just a budget, like maybe to say a budget of my life.
Right. Oh, that's
Looking
good. That's
at
good.
what is going on. What is going on?
That's good.
You
though.
know?
A budget of your life. Where are you expending your
Yeah.
energy and your time? And yeah, that's good.
Because sometimes you need that flow. And I've been flowing. I'm like, all right, we got goals here. We got to go back in mind. Like, I just need a budget of my life and just an assessment.
Okay, I'm gonna steal that. Budget of your life. That's good.
That's my next 30 days. And hold me to that.
I'll check.
Yep,
You
hold
know
me
what
to
I was
that.
just getting ready to say.
Yep.
I'll check in with
Hold
her.
me to that.
That's good.
The question extended and said it could be longer than 30 days.
It
Thank you
might
very
be. It might be.
That's the whole point. That's to make it longer than 30, to make it something
Yeah.
that you do. I'm not good with that kind of stuff either. Discipline. I do it when I'm forced, but I'm not good at it.
When you're forced.
Like if I know the Spirit says you have to get on TV for 6 months, I do it, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Anything else, Valerie?
Another question. You're studying for your master's, so you want to teach on the collegiate level. Why collegiate versus high school? Or
Yeah, I'd like to
elementary?
know that answer.
Oh my
She
goodness.
doesn't know what she's getting into. No, I'm joking.
A big thing, if we're being real honest, is I feel like money. That's a real reason why.
Well, I don't want to dampen your spirit, but we could talk about
That-
that later.
well, that's one thing.
Tim's laughing.
Yeah, that's honestly, that's one thing just because I've actually taught at an elementary level and I love teaching elementary school. But it was the time constraint as well. But I feel like, I've taught a lot of children. I have a child. I'm around children a lot. And that's still a part of my life. But like now I'm like, I want to try a new avenue. And I feel like also, like, I'm young in my 30s. I want to reach people my age and just see how that is to show other people, hey, I'm in my 30s. I've went through this. I have this experience and reach back because I also feel like just in my career field, especially like in my family, I'm one of the few. So I'm always trying to reach back into my community and just help them and show them this is what I've done. Especially, to me, it's always highlighted to me the type of field that I went in. Some people say you got to go in STEM or go into this, but I look at my sister that's an artist and she's well off now, but a lot of people like, oh, you can't make money in this, you can't do this. And I feel like sometimes I get the same thing with writing and creativity, and I want to just be that voice to people in higher education. Because again, so much like they tell my sister, I used to be an art teacher for elementary school or middle school, but like now she's going to be a professor, and like you need that. You need Black professors in these type of fields. So it's a lot of different reasons, but that's one of the reasons I'm going into higher education.
Well, let's talk about that because
Yeah.
I think my master's is in public relations
Okay.
and my doctorate is in ministry, so I don't really have a teaching certificate or anything like that. But
Yeah.
by chance, I was doing ministry, and I got to experience working at a lot of different colleges and universities. So,
Okay.
and I agree, it is it's a lot, but
Yeah, it is.
But it's a great calling. I was adjunct though, so I wasn't full time
Yeah.
at the time. But yeah, I think you'd love it if that's what your passion is.
And I can't go without saying this. Well, growing up, I never had a Black teacher until I got to Howard. And I had amazing Black teachers. And my professor, that was the most amazing professor I ever had. It was Dr. Muhammad, and she is a criminologist. And just through her and how much she has touched people and helped like educate people about the prison system and just what she's shared with us,
Right.
it's not that many Black criminologists, especially with her background, and just like that helped me, you know,
Right.
just like, I'm like, I don't see that many Black professors like that's been in journalism that have these skills or with a background like mine,
That's funny,
you know,
yeah.
especially as a first generation college student. Like, I want to be that because the people always think like you are molding people, elementary, middle school, high school. But again, sometimes
That's not my thing either.
even in life, even in college, you may have people feeling like, oh, I want to give up on this. So it's like, I feel like God's pulling me towards a different avenue right now.
Well, we should talk more because that's my baby too.
Yeah.
College, and I've taught at like 5 or 6 different
Colleges.
colleges. Just I don't even know how it started.
Yeah.
I like stumbled into it, right?
Yeah.
but it made sense because of the ministry and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah. High school. Oh, I don't know.
I think it. Yeah,
Oh, I could
I
do high
work with. Let me
school.
just say this. I do work with high school students.
That's a hard
my
crowd.
sister, that's my sister's kind of thing. She does elementary and high school. So.
And
I'll
so
let her
I told you I was
answer
at this marketing conference, and I was speaking with the woman who has social media business. And I was like, how did you get into this business? And she said, I used to be a youth minister. And so I said, she's like, I had to speak in front of them. Right. So she was like, I said, that's a tough crowd. Because they're like, I'm bored. So that really helped her with her social media, like speaking in front of adults and everything. I'm like, actually, out of all the crowds I've been, that's like the hardest crowd. Not people my age, not people older than me. I'm like, high schools will tell you exactly how it is. You can tell, like, if you're a good speaker from that.
I think for me, it's young adults because at least grade school kids know that they have a limit. Usually, they should know that they can only go so far. But young adults will bring you those tough questions. And you have to remember what you said last week. Or what, if you did something contrary to that.
They have a good memory, yeah.
Yeah, so they're both, it's the equal ends of the spectrum. They're both kind of tough.
Yeah, I would agree.
Teaching, I think you'd be great at that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you would. You're way open.
I love education.
Especially with that age, 18 and up.
Yeah, trying something new.
Yep. Well, if that's maybe that's your purpose. That's a good note. Do we have any more questions, or should we end on that one? Well, maybe that's your purpose. Maybe that's the beginning of your exploration, something that you are passionate about, something that you think you fit in. Go for it.
Thank you.
The next time we talk, you'll be like, I'm working on my purpose.
That's exciting. It's exciting.
So thank you guys so much
you.
for joining and spending your time with us. And we hope you learn more than this. We like to talk, because we do.
Right.
But we hope you learn something that will impart some wisdom and knowledge and get you further in your life journey. Good night.